Okay guys, it's time to get our feet wet with Pro. You're going to notice some differences on how we access data and how we store it. Some of it will be familiar because a lot of what works in Pro, which works in online also works in Pro, but there are some big differences. So here we go. These are some of the fundamentals that you got to follow. First step is we need to get the data that we're going to use today. And we're going to get it from the class's shared drive. So you open up in the bottom left of your computer, your desktop, open up the Windows Explorer and then look for the class's shared drive. And inside the class's shared drive, find Science and then find Geospatial Analysis. And then we're going to take this data called SLHS data zip. We're going to right click, copy it, or you can drag it. I tend to copy it because I'm always afraid I'm going to move it and I don't want to do that. So paste it to the desktop. Okay, so here's our zipped folder with the data. We can close the class's shared drive and let's make a new folder out here called Working with Pro Data. So this will be a place where we put everything for the rest of the year. Right click on that zipped folder, extract all, and it's going to ask us to browse where we want to put it. And let's put it in the, let's go on a desktop and let's find Working with Pro Data. That's where we're going to put it, and then hit select folder and then extract it. Okay, and once it's done, there it is, and we won't need, let's double check that. Sure enough, there it is. So we don't need the zip folder anymore, and we can delete it. Okay, so we don't even need to look at that anymore either. Actually, we do. I want everybody to go in here for a second, and I want you to see something about this data. When you've never seen the data looking like this before. I just want you to know that for each of these layers, addresses, buildings, the school attendance zones, anything that is a layer or a point, a line, they all actually are made of many layers. You haven't seen that this year, but it's important for you to recognize when you see all these different things that this is not where you want to get your data. You have to get the data from within the software. You can't do it through Windows because Windows will give you this. And it takes all of these things that say address to make that one feature with address points. So notice it has a DBF file, that's a database. Notice it has a PRJ file, that's the projection. I'll skip down here a bit. The shape, that tells you it's a point. This is a shape file. It could be a point, a line, or a polygon. This file right here tells you that it's a point, or it's going to be a point. All right, and I'll leave it at that, but it's important for you to understand that there's multiple files for each feature. So then we come out of here and close this, and now we're ready to launch the software. So you go down to the bottom and you click the little magnifier and search for ArcGIS Pro. I've already searched for it once, so it's popping up for me right here. When you see it, click it and let it run. What it's doing right now is it's going to set up a project for you, and it's going to create all the storage places for your data. So over here you'll see recent projects. You don't have anything on yours because this is your first project, but when you start making projects, you're going to see that grow. So I want you to change the name of this map to Intro to Pro Data and Projections. That's what this video is about, data and projections. Notice that it's going to go in this location in the C drive, users, JPruis, yours will be different, documents, ArcGIS projects. That's where all of these live, okay? And then it creates the blank screen for us to work with. It defaults to this insert, like new map, but we don't need to because we chose to make a new map. And now I just want to show you something about this map. You'll notice it's very exaggerated. Greenland's huge, so is Antarctica. So this is some form of a Mercator projection, and it turns out that this map, this projection, if you right click on maps, go back up here, you right click on maps and you go down to properties at the bottom, and then if you look at the coordinate system, it's a WGIS 1984 Web Mercator, same as ArcGIS Online. That's probably the default now because so much of what is produced never gets printed and instead gets posted online. But there is still a problem with this, and it's that nobody doing really accurate GIS does this. This is for kind of like, big picture mapping. But if you are trying to figure out where property lines are and make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be, you cannot use Web Mercator. So we're going to learn how to use what the professionals use. So go down and we're going to change this. Since we're working with Virginia, and we're actually using Northern Virginia, we're going to make the map as accurate as possible for Northern Virginia. To do that, we have to use a projected coordinate system. Geographic coordinate systems are globes. They're spheres, three-dimensional spheres. WGS 84 is one of those. Okay, but we're going to use projected, which means flat maps. Okay, so pull this down, hit the little arrow next to it, and we're going to come down to state plane, and we're going to look at all these things, and we're going to find the one that says NAD 83 US feet. So we're going to open that one up and then go all the way down, and notice that like Colorado has a lot, California has a lot, Mississippi or New Texas has a lot. But let's find Virginia. There we go. Virginia has 2. And the north, the NAD 83 state plane, Virginia North, FIPS 4501 US feet. That's the one we want right there. Okay, and you're going to notice that your map gets all wonky now and looks weird. But if you look carefully, you're going to notice that it doesn't look weird for Virginia. Africa's, think of this like a globe, and you have like a hand holding the globe over here and a hand holding the globe over here, and you're staring down at the United States and looking at Virginia, holding it so that Virginia looks proper, so that Virginia looks like what you expect. What I mean by that is if you zoom in on it, you'll notice that Virginia is projected properly, as you would see it, say, a picture of Virginia in a book. See? Notice, I don't know why this is so slow, but notice that Virginia's flat line on the bottom, and there's the shape of the state. This is familiar to us, and West Virginia's even looking pretty good. In North Carolina, this projection works pretty well for this whole area, but it's most accurate for the top here. But if you slide this to the left or to the right, keep dragging your map to the right and go out here to the west, and just look at what some of these states look like. Notice that everything is now twisted. It's like someone, your tendency would be to want to grab the map and rotate it toward the left to straighten it all up. Well, the way you do that is use the right projection. You would need to use an Arizona projection. So I hope you can see just by this little exercise here why projections are important. Projections are used to make accurate maps of just one small part of the earth. And that's what we're working with right here. So let's go back and zoom in close, and we're going to go in until we see Reston. And hold on here, getting close. Here's Reston. So center up on Reston. And now we're going to add some data to this. Okay, so to do that, we have to connect to folders, and this is a new skill. By the way, you should be logged in. If you haven't, you don't have to do it right now, but you want to log in because then you can still have access to data that's online if you're logged in. ArcGIS Online, that's how you get that data. All right, so click on Catalog. Arc Catalog is this catalog of data, and we need to make a folder connection. So right click on Folders and choose Folder Connection. And what we want to use is the data in working with Pro. We want to find and click on that SLHS data, and that will fill this space down here at the bottom. Don't drill into it. If you drill into it, you don't see anything. So you want to go back out one layer and just highlight the SLHS data and then hit OK. And it looks like nothing happened, but if you come over here now and pull down next to the folder, hit the little caret, now you see it right there. So you'll see we have this new geodatabase folder. This is where our data is going to go into this geodatabase here. This is where our products go. Won't worry about that right now. And this is where we get the data we're working with. So let's go ahead and add the addresses. This is that one that had those 7 files I showed you. Take that layer, which looks like just one thing now, and add it. Notice that you can't see any of all that cryptic data. It just looks like a single feature. So those are all the addresses in Fairfax County, and that's a lot of data. And let's go ahead and add the Fairfax High School attendance zones. Right click on that, add it to the map. Now let's move it up above the addresses. Okay, so now we need to find just the South Lakes High School zone. So let's go keep the high school layer highlighted, and let's try something here. Right click. Let's see if we can identify it by labeling. Well, that's not really what I expected. Those are numbers. What happened? Well, go up here to labeling in the middle at the top, and then come over here to where it says field for the label. We're using the object ID right now. It's defaulting to the first feature in the attribute table. The second name in the the second field in the attribute table is the name, and when you hit that, it works. Okay, now let's just get the South Lakes attendance zone. So keeping the high school layer highlighted, you need to do that so that it will do this for that layer. Come back to map, go up to the upper left and click map, and click select by attribute. And then now we're going to leave Fairfax County High Schools in the top. We're making a new selection, and we're going to let's see here. We're all good so far. We don't need, yep, we're fine. So, oops, my bad. Change school name is equal to, I got a little ahead of myself there, where the school name is equal to South Lakes. And apply it. And it should highlight it for us. So now we have South Lakes highlighted. And now we're going to, and this is one thing I like better about Pro, right click and go down to data and export the features, and we're going to make its own layer. This is all good. It's going to the right place, going to the output, into the right output location, which is the ArcGIS Pro data and projections. We're going to call this SLHS zone. SLHS underscore, you cannot have any spaces, SLHS zone. And we're going to go over to environments at the top up here, and we're going to make sure that this coordinate system is the same as the map, and it should be NAD 83 Virginia North. Let's see, and it is. Okay, so we don't need to do any of these other fancy things down here with the geodatabase. It's all professional stuff. Lots and lots of capability here that we're never going to touch. Okay, and let it finish. And you'll notice that it's hard to tell that it did anything, but if you look over here, you see 2 layers and you see 2 labels. But let's just turn off the high school zones, and now you see that all that's left is South Lakes. So we can get rid of those, and now we just have South Lakes. Now double click on the come on, oh, maybe I didn't do the right one. That's not what I want either. Symbology, selecting slowly. Well, bring it out. Okay, yep. Okay, so for South Lakes zone properties, we're going to change the fill to no color and the outline to red and make it 2-point, and then apply it. And that's where we're going to leave it for now, and we'll pick up here in the next video.